So, the clever middle class politicians who continue to mislead this country, the people of South Africa, and causing racial divisions. As far as the claim that they are super smart, they are revolutionaries, and whatever they call themselves. There is a land which is 2.8 million hectares in KwaZulu-Natal called Ingonyama Trust. It is under the king. The king controls the land. At some point, there were court battles where the king actually wanted those people. Indigenous people who are staying in KwaZulu-Natal were expected to pay rent on their ancestral land. These are the issues that Black people don't want to talk about them because I believe maybe they are against their, moral compass whatsoever. I don't know what is it that will impact on them. People like as influential as Julius Malema, the MKP, Jimmy Ma. The MKP is the worst to talk about Ingonyama Trust. I don't expect those people to talk about Ingonyama Trust because they themselves are the biggest problem there in KwaZulu-Natal because they are based in KwaZulu-Natal. They are sitting there on that 2.8 million hectares of land that they don't want to talk about. People in KwaZulu-Natal were extorted money to pay rent. Imagine where it's a village where you grew up, you're supposed to pay the king rent. Let me give you a bit of history, by the way. Sorry, I know that the story is on Google. You can see for yourself this proof, but here's the glimpse of this story. Pre-1994, the IFP was fighting the ANC because the ANC wanted democratic elections after the Codesa negotiations, those chaotic moments. And now the IFP wanted to boycott the elections, democratic elections. And I think a few days before the elections, the IFP made a 360-10 that they are going to support the democratic elections, and in exchange of having back the Ingonyama Trust, the land that now we call Ingonyama Trust. I don't know why should the king be in charge of that land, because the king does not know how to utilize land, does not upskill the Black people who are staying in KwaZulu-Natal. They continue to plunge into poverty and no one is talking about it. We are more focused on the Orania and the Kleinfontein people who are developing themselves. No, we don't want them to develop themselves. We want to cause chaos, and this is the best that we can do. So after 1994, Ingonyama Trust, the king is the custodian of that land, and now at a later stage he started making people to pay staying there. And until women, basically to be specific, in KwaZulu-Natal went to court, in Peter Marisburg court, to challenge this on their own. There was no political party which was helping these poor women. They took it upon themselves. I call them imbogot, because they were carrying knives where it was cutting. And they fought that battle, and the court helped them, ruling in their favor against the king. And the king was actually instructed to repay millions that was extorted from those people. And until to this day, I've never seen any article where those people were paid back. So they were forced to sign lease agreement on their ancestral land. No one is talking about it. I want us to watch this clip, then we can further engage upon this.
Took on one of the most powerful institutions in the Zulu kingdom, and they came out on top.
Amalungelo ethu nje athe ngasekho nomuzi nje mawubheka besingasenawo ntatheni umuzi nje lo bese ngoweNgonyama Trust uba mangihluleka ukukhokha bezofika angikhiphe ngiphume ngegate avala amagate adayisa umuzi le mali yakhe sengiyikweneta.
Despite signing lease agreements with Ingonyama Trust, some say they couldn't start paying due to financial difficulties.
The installment isambe sithi 2067 rand. Angaze ngikhokhe lutho ngoba bengingenayo leyo mali leyo ke. Usukela nje ngo2012 kuze kube manje vele bekusinda ikhanda kimi ukuthi leyo mali ngizoyithathaphi. ngoba lokho okuncane engikutholayo kufanele ngithengele ingane ukudla.
Others say more people have been scammed by Ingonyama Trust and are scared to come forward, fearing victimization.
Ngiyajabula kakhulu mina ukuthi into iqale incane abantu bengayinaki ngenxa yokushoda ulwazi. Abantu abaningi uyabona uma ngake uye kuHammersdale uye koBabanango uye endaweni eziningi ukukhuluma ngonyama trust mhlambe ukhamba ukuthi bangagwaza ngomkhonto mabona nomkhonto mhlambe bakugwaza ngoba bahlukumezekile abantu bahlunyezwe ngonyama wemfowethu ungezwa umuntu okutshela manga.
So this is the black administration. That's how cruel they are. You saw it for yourself. Until to this day, the money that was extorted from those poor people was never paid back. They were never reimbursed. And no one is talking about it. The same energy that the EFF, the MKP is using to challenge this Orania and Kleinfontein issue. That is supposed to be the same energy they are challenging Ingonyama Trust. Ingonyama Trust is lying there. It's not benefiting anyone. It's not upskilling any black people's skills there in KwaZulu-Natal. Zulus continue to be poor there in KwaZulu-Natal. By the way, KwaZulu-Natal is one of the most poorest provinces. If you talk about rural areas, people are still not having running water. They are still not having sewage system. Roads are, there's no tar roads, poor infrastructure, everything, all of that. The kids are still sitting under the trees and all of that. Those are the shames that our government, the ANC government, has brought us. By the way, the king was getting 67 million per annum. I don't know for what, because I will explain why I'm saying this. And now he got a raise with 12 million. So it means now he's getting something like 79 million per annum. And they're getting all the allowances and everything from our tax money. The very same Orania people, the very same Kleinfontein people are sponsoring your king. And your king is, it's not benefiting anyone. I am questioning this thing of kings. I'm not against black people's cultures because I'm black, I'm also African and all of that. But I don't understand because now this whole kingship thing has been commercialized to an extent that it benefits them and they don't deliver back to the community. They continue to benefit, they continue to bully people. And we know as black people, we are not allowed to talk about Ingonyama Trust. We cannot talk about it. You cannot question it. You cannot talk about transparency, accountability, how are the funds being used and all of that, the board members and all of that. What exactly are they doing there? Those board members and the Zulu monarch and everything. So what exactly are they doing? Because it's more like you are holding the land ransom and you don't want anyone to participate in that. And when they try, the Zulus, when they try to do something for themselves and the king issue direct opposite instructions that you should not do this, you should not, but he's not actually benefiting anyone. So those are the double standards that we see in our country, and unfortunately people have been brainwashed to hate on white people, but we're not concentrating on issues which are very, very critical. And even the land expropriation bill, I'm very worried for one reason. This whole thing is going to be mismanaged. We've got ANC criminals who have been there in the government for more than 30 years. They've looted everything. And I think the land expropriation bill, it is actually their last jackpot now. Their last jackpot, and they are going to make sure that they hit billions and they cause chaos and they cause divisions. They are not willing to develop our country. They cannot maintain existing structures, infrastructure. They cannot build anything. They are just corrupt, continue to steal money. We are sitting here with a 250 million issue of the Nkandla. That was never returned. The public works used 250 million and no one has ever accounted to that to this day. So those are the worries that as an average black person staying in South Africa, I'm so worried that why do we seem to be quick when we're supposed to act on non-important issues which are very far away from us, which are not bothering us. And I want to challenge the government of the ANC, or the government which will ever be governing at that particular time when they do their own land expropriation thing, that if you want to expropriate this land, start with the Ingonyama Trust. Set an example there and show us what exactly is your plan. And if you pass that, then we can talk about land expropriation. By the way, it will be a very wrong narrative and a very wrong approach if we say land expropriation without compensation, because I feel like even black people, there are black people who owns hectares of land. People are going to have their land dispossessed, a Zimbabwe kind of approach. And you will not be able to justify it even if you go to a high court or whatsoever. So there's going to be chaos. We need to really be careful and be considerate of our decisions, because I'm very much worried with this expropriation bill, especially knowing very well that the ANC government is nothing but a corrupt and rotten government which never served the people. Both, I don't want to talk about race. Even white people today, there's white people who are poor, who are sleeping on the streets, who are unemployed, who are struggling. There are white people who are landless, by the way. I've got so many friends of white people who don't own a land. They are just staying in apartments. And if you ask him, don't you have some kind of land, maybe your grandfather, they say they were raised, they are from a poor background. And if a white person says, I'm from a poor background, black people will look at you like, no. It doesn't really make sense, because we were told that all white people are rich, all white people benefited from apartheid. Not all of them. Some white people were born into poverty. Their parents were just, having average life, and they managed maybe to take them to varsity there so that they can get some degree and be able to survive and all of that. So we cannot use one blanket, to victimize other people. At the same time, when we exercise our constitutional rights, we need to also be considerate that we don't violate other people's rights. So if the government is really serious, and if the people of South Africa wants to move on from this issue, and in a peaceful way, amicably, so let's find one another. Let us start with the Ingonyama Trust. There's a serious problem there, I'm telling you. People were extorted money there, and they were never paid in return, and they were told that their houses are going to be repossessed. Imagine you're staying in a rural area. You're not staying in a burnt house. You're not having, the infrastructure is just standard there. And there's no running water. The place was not surveyed, and it's a rural area. Then somebody comes because he's a king and say, I'm going to repossess your house. How crazy. And no one is actually monitoring these kings, because these kings, they do as they please. They are spending our tax, and they are useless, by the way, because they are not helping the communities of the village. They are not doing that. They are not kids there. They complete their schooling and they become stuck there. They become unemployed. They continue poverty, striking very hard in rural areas. And no one is saying anything about that. And we cannot expect the Johan Ruperts and the Oppenheimers to carry South Africa on their shoulder. Everybody has got to work hard. But my concern is that black people who are running this government, who are in the positions of power, they do absolutely nothing for us. And if they fail, and when we confront them, they tell us about apartheid. They tell us about Orania. They tell us about Kleinfontein. They are so quick to challenge useless issues, but tangible issues which are going to bring solution to all of us. All of us. Even the triple BE policies, I still maintain that they are racist, because they continue to exclude certain ethnic groups and still benefit some of the connected black people who knows politicians and all of that. So in my own view, we need to think twice when we challenge these issues. Ingonyama Trust remains useless. It's lying there. No one is using it, and this is the situation we are subjected to, South Africa. I want to take this minute to thank all the new subscribers, all the people who watch my channel, all the people who reach out to me. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful and I'm so humbled. And we always try to be impartial. We always try to challenge issues with sober minds so that we don't spark racial tensions at the same time. We don't promote hatred. We build a South Africa that is matured, because other nations are looking at us. And if they see us misbehaving and doing funny things, we are going to be counted as one of the statistics of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is having land and everything, but look at the economy. It's performing poor and all of that. My question is that, are black people really ready to own the land? And if they are ready to own the land, what is it that they want to do with the land? Do we know how to do agriculture? You know, the government has got a lot of work to do, but we have the government which is not politically willing to fix this country. All that they do is to cause divisions, to continue to blame apartheid, yet they are in power. Thank you, scholars.